Hello guys, today I'm going to show you how to set up a hotel super easy with IncoPOS. First thing we're going to do is we're going to create a new database, and let's say I'm going to name it Hotel 1. I'll select a blank database and then I'll hit create. First thing that you're going to see when you create a new database is that database assistant, which will let you set up a few things super easy. One of the most important things is to set up the business type to be hotel. This will let the system know what kind of setup you need to further do in order to finish the database configuration and all the things that are needed inside of it. We press next. Here you can select your country if it's in the list. This lets the system customize stuff like reports and compatibility with other devices that may be relevant to a particular country. In this case, I'm just going to select other, so we don't have specific configuration. But if you see your country better selected, it will help you set up the correct VAT rates and so on. Now we have the workstation name. This is the name that we use to store the settings in the database. So if you later you need to restore that database, you can just select that this is your workstation and all the settings will be restored. If you, for example, you have a database backup on the cloud and you download it later, this will be much easier for you. So we just leave that name here, but you can put something that is more talkative to or close to what you name that PC or laptop that you're going to use. Here you select the taxes, if you use VAT or sales tax, if the company is VAT registered or not, what's the VAT value that you have. Of course, you can have many. For example, in Bulgaria we have different VAT rates for different services and in the hotel industry, and you can have more than one VAT rate, but this is the base VAT rate that's going to be used for the majority of the items. Now another thing here is if you want to use the prices inside the software to be configured as prices with VAT or without VAT. For most cases, when we have sales that are B2C and you're directly selling to customers, not to other businesses, you would want to have prices with VAT included. So I'll leave it like that. And that's the main thing and the main part of the setup done. Now, the magic happens in this area here. These are the so-called setup cards. They change and they allow you to set up various things of the system whenever you're ready to do that, and they're context aware. They change depending on what you already set up and what are the current configurations of this database. So for example, we have that card that's for location that lets you set up your hotel rooms. The system knows that we selected that this is going to be a hotel, so it shows us this card. If we press it, here we can select what kind of rooms we have, how many and what type. For example, we may want to have different room types or without room types. If it's a very small hotel with all the rooms are same, we can just choose the first option. If it's a little bit bigger, then we can have multiple types, and we can choose the prefix. For example, I don't want to have a full word here, I can just use abbreviations, and I can say that SGL is the abbreviation I want to use for single room, DBL for double, and for suite maybe I'll use apartment, APT. And we'll have, for example, in single we have like 10 rooms, double will be 8 rooms, and apartments will be 5, or let's say 2 apartments. And these are the maximum amount of adults that they can host. This is the preview of the rooms that are going to be created, and when I press setup, they're automatically going to be created in the system. We can see them in the locations here, in edit locations. They're all created, and we have one location which is the hotel, and these are sub locations there. This matters when we have more databases and we have document numbering per location. In this way we say that and configure the system that the numbers of the operations are going to be configured based on the numbers reserved for the hotel location. For example, the numbers of the invoices, the numbers for the sales and bookings and all other operations. They're going to be dependent on what is the range of documents assigned to the hotel location. In most cases, if you have a single database, you don't need to worry about that. But in all cases, the setup card configures all the locations appropriately, so you can expand your business in the future. Now, once we have the location set up, we have another card that appeared here. These are the rate types, and this allows us to set up the rate types for the room types that we already configured. You see we have the single, double, and apartment rates, and here we can select what kind of rates we want. We can have 2, 3, 5, or we can configure multiple. For simplicity, I'll just leave like 2, standard and weekend, and I'll just put some values here. For example, this will be fixed 50, 60, and 70. And for the weekend, we'll increase it a bit. It's going to be like 60, 70, and 80. This concludes the main part of the configuration of the database. So far you have the basics ready, and if you go to operations, booking, and then the booking sheet, you can see already you have a timeline of all your booking that you can do. And here you have the rooms and the room types for them. If you press the view, you can also filter. For example, if you want only single rooms, or if you want a specific room number, you can select it here. You can go through all of these, and here from this screen you can directly start making bookings with drag and drop, and you can press book, and you practically have a ready system. Now I want to add a few more notes before actually making the first booking. Here you have the settings button. If you press it, it will close all the tabs and it will show you this screen. These are the main booking configurations. We already have some default set. Some part of that configuration is already done from the 2 cards that we did. For example, the room types. We chose, we have automatically created a tag here that marks the single, double, and the apartment rooms. We have created these rooms as locations, and they're assigned to these tags. We have already set the maximum number of adults for them. This is done automatically by the card we used. Then the rate types is of course the other card that we used, and it automatically assigned the rates, and it created items that are going to be used for the two rates. Now in rate adjustments we can see the rules that are created for these rate types and room types. They automatically track what rate type we used and room type, and they set the prices for them automatically. We can add more rules here, which would let us, if we want to have specific rates for specific periods of dates, or they can be assigned to a class of clients. For example, we can have partners that are VIP partners, and then we can have special prices for them, or we can have special prices for them for some date range. We can have a lot of flexibility here, and we can add rules in that list by pressing new and specifying all these conditions and actions. I'm not gonna go deep into this, but definitely check it out if you want to see and you want to achieve something special for your guests. Now packages is something else that can be used in different ways. One of the most common ways is to automatically include the tourist tax, for example, inside the rates. Usually when we specify a price to the client, this is the end price that they expect. In some areas, some hotels, they charge the tourist tax on top of that. In some places they include it inside. It really depends on the place where you want to use that, but we allow you to do both here. How this happens, we just create a package and we can add a name for it. For example, tourist tax. This is a free text field. We can choose to apply to all rates or a specific rate that we want to be applied. Let's say all rates. And here we can choose to add the amount to that rate or to subtract the amount from the rate. If we subtract the amount, then in this case you have end price for the stay, and this tax will be included inside. Why do we even need to specify that? This is very good for reporting, because this way you can select and easily see how much tax you have to pay for tourists and how much is the actual amount that you get for your services. Now here we can add the item. If we double click, you see the list of items. These are the automatically created ones, and I'll click and add another one, tourist tax. I'll name it, and I'll just select that this non-inventory service tax item, because we don't need to track the availability of that item. I'll say that the quantity is 1 and it's multiplied. If I double click, I'll choose just the number per adult, and I'll choose a price for it. Let's say it's 1.23, for example, and it's going to be applied on arrival and during the stay. We save that and close it. The other piece here is for the deposits. Deposits are can be taken directly and can be assigned to rooms if we want, but this module here lets us do this a little bit more easy. Usually if you have a few night stays and you want to just accept a flat amount that the client will pay you, let's say you have a few night stays and the total for the booking is around 200 euro, and you want to get 50 euro. You don't want to assign them usually to a specific room, because you may have a few rooms into a booking or a specific night stay. You can specify here two items. One is the default deposit item. If I click, I'll just add one item and I'll name it deposit. And I'll say that this is a non-inventory service. I save it and choose it. Now this item will be added in the folio when we choose to add a deposit. And for example, if we chose 50 euro, we'll have a sale of that item with the amount of 50 euro. Now we can create an invoice for that deposit, and it will include that 50 euro. We can delay the payment for that sale, and we can later add payment for that sale and record when it's paid, and this will track all the movement of the money separately. And also we need to have another item, which is going to be a discount item. The reason for this is that if we just add a 50 euro deposit in the folio, it would increase the whole booking amount with 50 euro, which would sound wrong, because if we have a 200 euro booking, you expect the total to be 200 in the end. But if we add to the folio the deposit for 50, it will become 250. So in order to neutralize that deposit item, we'll add one more item, which is going to be deposit discount. We'll mark this one as a discount and click save and choose it. This way we'll have the full setup, and when we have a booking for 200 euro and we add 50 euro this discount item here, and the deposit overall will not increase the total. We'll have 50 euro deposit, 50 euro discount. It will neutralize. It will be zero as a change to the total. But if we have a payment for the deposit, then we'll have 50 euro paid in that booking. We'll see that in a minute. And the last part here is the meals section. This section we can have different items set up for breakfast, lunch and dinner for the adults and children. It's just items that we can select here. We can create them in the item list, select them, and once selected here, the system will know which items to track in order to display them in the special meals report. This report will show us how many meals they have to be prepared for each dinner, lunch or breakfast. And also we can use these items in packages to include them in the rates, so they can be added automatically in the folio. So we'll know immediately when we create a booking that we need to add per adult or per child a different lunch or breakfast. By using the multiplier here, we can select per adult, per child. We can select that it's free, for example, and we can say when to apply the breakfast or the meal that we have. For example, on arrival, usually we may have a lunch or dinner, but we're not going to have a breakfast. So you can specify each one of these as different rows in a package. So your booking will track these very accurately, and you have an exact count of these meals. Okay, let's save that, and let's see now how a booking actually works. In the booking sheet here, we can create booking just by dragging and dropping. Then we just select book, and we'll see the most of the data already populated because we chose the date ranges. We can select a partner here. I'll create another one. Test partner. It automatically goes in the guest section. This is a double room, so we can select that we have two adults, and I'll select standard. And what you can see here is that the tourist tax is automatically added in the folio. The quantity is 2 because the adults are 2, and the price was 1.23 euro, and this is multiplied by 2, and in the end it's subtracted from the base price, which is 60, and we have this as an end price for the stay that we have. Now if I save that booking, I can print the booking confirmation. Here it's a default template, but you can edit it, and here you can see the booking. From this interface here, you can actually extend the booking, and you can see that this dialog asks us if we want to move the booking departure 1 day later. I press yes. If we want, we can move it around, and the system will ask us move the entire booking 1 day later, 2-room double. Okay, and of course we can check in the quant from here, and you can see that we can print the registration cards too. That's another thing that different countries may require this, some may not. Here you can edit also the booking, and for example you can add a new deposit. That can be done from this menu, from the new and deposit, and the total amount was 120. So now I'll add deposit, for example, for 30. No, quantity will be 1 and the price will be 30. I press save. Okay, of course here if you have integration with physical device, if we have it configured and connected to the computer, we can print a physical receipt for this sale if it's in cash or in card. Also you can connect card processors, so if you want to take the card payment directly from the system, it will send the information to the card processor, and you get the amount from it directly in the confirmation. Press OK. We don't want to print stock receipts, so here you can see that it automatically got reflected. We paid 30, the amount due is 90, and you have the two here items that we talked about, the deposit and the deposit discount. We have 30 euro and minus 30 down there. Of course you can issue invoice again from here. You can select invoice if you want, or add another sale. All kinds of stuff can be done from this screen. Practically it manages the whole booking. If you want, you can print again a booking confirmation. If not, just press no. Now you can see that this booking changed the color. It became orange, meaning that we have partial payment. Let's create another booking here, but I want to make it a little more interesting, and I'll click select more. I can select one more room like this, and I can book it then. Now we have two rows here, and I can select the main partner. Let's say test partner again. I'll select the rates. Here you see the folio got automatically filled in, and now I can press save. We can print a booking confirmation if you want, and you see the two booked rooms here are already here. Now if I click, you can see that we can see the whole booking together, and I can check in each one of the rooms. I can select which one to check in with the check-in button, or here if I double click, I can also change the status from here: arriving, in-house, and so on. No show, cancelled. Let's see, double. I can add a payment directly for the whole, for the one booking or both. I can select with Control or Shift both of them. Payment for all sales, yes. This is the total amount. I'll pay it directly and save it. And now you see they became green. This one is checked in, this one is not. I checked in only this one, and they're green, meaning that they're fully paid. This way you can track all your bookings around the different time frames, and you can get status about the rooms here, if they're dirty or clean because they're checked in. When they checked in, they became dirty automatically. You can have also summary information about the total number of rooms, total number of guests, number of rooms in use, free rooms, how many you have per each day, see in the column, and the occupancy. This gives you a quick view of the whole system and how the hotel is performing during the different dates. Also, see the total number of rooms. These reflect how many rooms are available for this day. Maybe you notice that we can have here book, select more, but we can also block a room. We can select that this room is out of service, for example. It can also be out of inventory. If we click like this, okay, you can see that it will refresh right now, and the room will become out of inventory. And you can see here the inventory decreased. This marks that room that it should not be booked during that time period, and the number of the inventory decreased. Of course, you can have this whole view, and you can search for rooms from here, and it's just, in most cases, this is the most comfortable way to make bookings and to see everything. But some clients prefer another view, which is more of a 2D view of the floor plan. This is available here. If you go to booking plan, you can see that the rooms we configured, they are automatically added to this plan, but we can adjust this. And if you want, you can move the rooms around. You can make them bigger if you want. For example, I can resize them. This is going to be very familiar to some of you if you used the touchscreen before, because this allows you to configure the locations in the same way. Also in the grid here, you can add the background. So if you have a plan of your or picture of how everything is aligned in your hotel, you can add it here, and you can see, for example, the pools if you have, the different entrances to your hotel. All of this can be displayed here. And the most important here, it shows you the view of the whole hotel during the different dates. I can change the date here, and it shows me that this one is blocked, this one is fully paid, this one is partially paid, and if I click on it, I can edit the booking directly. Here you can see indication of which day, of how many days is that booking in, and the last one is the checkout date. And yeah, that lets us view the whole system a little more in a top-down view from the hotel. And in most cases, these two views are going to be enough for very quick overview of how everything works. If you want more in detail view of the data, you can go in the reports, and here you have the booking section. You have plenty of reports here that you can use and get the due amounts, available rooms, guest summary details, housekeeping, meals by day. This is using the information about the meals that we specified. All of these are detailed reports and that work just the way all other reports in IncoPOS work. You have filter section, and then you have the grid with the result. You should just check them out and see how they're going. We're constantly adding more reports there. Also in the edit section, of course, just like all other operations, you have the edit documents booking section where you can see all the bookings and you can edit them from there. If you want to see something very far behind, or you don't want to use these two screens for the booking sheet and booking plan, you can click here and you can check, for example, this month, and you can preview the booking with the full folio, and double clicking will open it for edit. Of course, you can reprint documents here from booking. You can choose which documents you want to reprint, the booking confirmation, booking bill, registration cards, and you just need to select the booking that you want to use, and it will print the confirmation. And the document templates for these can be used can be modified here. The booking bill, confirmation, and registration card. And these are specialized reports that also can be edited from here. The settings for the bookings are available here. In Edit, Administration, Booking Settings. This is the same screen that we saw earlier. If the property that you're managing is not exactly a hotel, it may be caravans or camping site, you can change actually the name of the locations here, so they're not rooms, they can be something else. You can also use this module not only for night stays, it can be used for spa too, which is a super powerful feature too. And you can just click here and select hourly, and it will start using and tracking the stays per hour, not per night. You can have multiple profiles here, so you can have the same database and you can have one workstation working using this profile, which is daily, and the other profile can be using the hourly billing interval, which means that you can have the reception for the hotel working with the nightly stays, and You can have a spa on the same hotel with the same database with different rooms that can handle the spa procedures there, and you can have different packages and all can be in one database, and you can have centralized reports for both of them. You just need to create another profile here and you can configure it with the different packages, rates and everything else for spa. As you can see, IncoPOS can give you a really complete solution for small to medium-sized hotels. We have integration with all kind of hardware devices, physical devices, and we can issue physical receipts, can get payments from cards, and we can also have connectivity with external systems like connections for accepting reservations from Booking and other websites through our API that we have in the Inco Cloud. And this lets IncoPOS be a complete solution for many hotels. So if you find this interesting, I know it's a bit long video, but hotel systems are not super simple systems. They need a few steps to be configured. If you find this video interesting, please press like, press the bell button, share this video, and if you have any questions, drop a comment and subscribe, of course. Have a great day.